I am right now packing up for the very first camping trip for 2023, and I am very nearly, literally bouncing off the walls in my shed. Super excited for this one. This camping mission is going to be much like the camping missions that I've been on at this time of year. This time of year being January, and it's hot, it is dry, it is crunchy in the bush. So I am going to spend as much time as possible swinging around in the trees and hoping that a deer walks past. I haven't been tree hunting since the tail end of the 2022 roar because over the winter period it is really hard to keep warm in a tree, and if I'm cold in a tree it ain't much fun. And at the end of the day, if it's windy and raining and it's wet underfoot, it's quiet underfoot, then I've found that it's far more productive to be missioning around on the ground trying to shank a deer. The last tree hunt that I went on last year was a successful one. I shot a big mature doe out of a tree. And I did film that hunt in its entirety, but I very stupidly, accidentally deleted all of the footage, and the only footage I've got from that hunt was from the camera that was on my bow. Not only did I delete all the footage from that hunt, but I deleted footage from other hunts as well. You wouldn't believe the amount of times that I have been full draw on deer while tree hunting. I've had deer within bow range of my tree and I just couldn't get a shot at them. You'd think it would be easy. Given that it is right now mid-January, all of the mature does I'm picking will have small dependent fawns with them, so they're off the hit list. But any yearling is on the hit list. Any mature buck that I would mount, a velvet mount, he's on the hit list. Any buck that has a lopsided set of antlers is on the hit list, and if the pickings are slim, then I will gladly take a spiker. As always, in the block that I'm in, pigs are very undesired, and any pig that gives me an ethical shot will get shot at. And in this block, there is always the hopes of running into a pig that I call White Sox. For the next month or so, I'm going to spend the bulk of my hunting time out on the public land, and I say that only because recently I haven't seen any buck sign on my mate's private property, and the only animals that I've laid eyes on recently on his property are does with fawns. And myself and Howard done a big scouting day out the back recently, and we seen more than enough buck sign to have me keen as to get back out there and see if I couldn't get a big fat mature buck, velvet buck in the freezer. But after I have camp all set up this afternoon, I am going to sneak down the hill from camp. It's like 15 minutes walk to a tree stand, a permanent tree stand that I've got set up just down from camp for this exact reason. When I don't have enough time to get out on the public, I've just got a little hunting spot right close to camp. And I could be wrong, and there could be spikers on my mate's property or something that I would shoot. Well, I could pretty much guarantee that there'd be a yearling running around somewhere. So yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll get down in that tree and a yearling will walk past and there'll be venison in my chili bin on day number 1. And in all fairness, I was hunting out of the same tree that I'm going to hunt tonight about this time last year, and I had a spiker walk right past the tree that I was in, and I didn't want to shoot him because if I'd shot him, then I would need to go home because I had no way of keeping the venison cold for more than like a day or two. However, I would have shot him had he walked out onto the little bit of grass that's there so that I could have filmed an over the shoulder kill shot. But yeah, long story short, I let him walk. But given the fact that I don't plan on sitting there until dark because I just want to get an early night tonight and get all packed up ready for tomorrow, I don't imagine that I'm going to see much. So I'll end this by saying that I am waking up super early tomorrow, and I'm headed out onto the public land to climb a tree that I haven't hunted since the roar of 2021, which is dumb because just about every single time I've been in this tree, I've seen animals. And in fact, the last time I was in this tree was in the roar of 21, and I had a doe right underneath me going, me, me, me. And I reckon she was looking for a buck, but a buck never showed up. Calm down, Nato. Oh, I'm shaking like crazy. I've sat here all morning, haven't seen anything, haven't heard anything. It's just gone 9 o'clock. And then I can hear an animal coming. I can hear some movement down this way, and then I hear and I'm like, that's a pig. And as I got closer, I was like, that's a big pig. And then a big black boar appears down in here behind me, and it's got white feet. And instantly I'm like, that's the boar that I shot in June of 21. Anyone who knows me and watches my videos knows that I shot at a massive boar point blank in June of 21. And long story short, I shot over his backbone. Got him on a trail camera like 2 weeks later, confirming that the shot wasn't lethal. Then a mate of mine in the roar of 22, so a year after I'd shot him, filmed him on some private land out here. Couldn't do anything about it. He's standing on private land when Howard seen him. At that time, Howard also named him White Socks because he's got white socks. And ever since then, I've been calling him White Socks. Well, I am pretty convinced that that was the very same pig that we call White Socks. When I shot that pig in June of 21, he had a lump on his back. So when I got him on the trail camera a week later, he was unmistakably the same pig because of that lump. Now, that boar didn't have a lump on the top of his back that I could tell. I didn't get a real good look at him. But anyway, he didn't have a lump, but it is a huge boar with white socks. What are the chances of there being two massive boars out here with white feet? How does a big boar like that survive this long without getting killed? He's even taken an arrow. Like, he's had to have been chased by dogs. He came through behind me here. The camera on my bow can't really see too much, but he came through behind me here, and there's one little gap through this thick stuff that I could have shot him in, and I went to try and stop him in that gap, but he just walked through that gap and then stopped on the other side of the gap. And then I stupidly thought I could just go, and maybe he'd turn around and come my way, thinking I was a pig, you know, the old how they do, they blow at you. But when I blew at him, he turned and gapped it. He ain't that freaking stupid, Nato. He's already copped an arrow from me once. He wasn't going to cop another one. But yeah, exciting times. I still feel like I'm going to throw up. Shit, that was a big pig. You wouldn't believe the amount of times that I have been full draw on stoats while I've been tree hunting and just couldn't get a shot at them because they do not hold still. But even if that one did hold still, I probably would have missed it because I missed one point blank on the ground the other day. But yeah, it's all good. I will keep trying. It's just gone 11 o'clock, so I am about to get down out of this tree, head back to camp. But before I head back to camp, I want to go through up there to where that boar was and see if I can find a good, clean, clear mark to put my hand beside to get a real good idea of how big that pig was. Back to camp, and then a tree hunting mission will be planned for this afternoon. Just about to head off for an afternoon tree hunt. I'm hunting out of a tree today that I've never hunted in before, but the amount of times that I've walked past this tree and gone, I should try hunting in that tree, has led me to doing that mission today. It is basically just a bit of a choke point. There's a little steep gut that comes down I guess it's in a basin head. And then there's a couple of trails that sidle the basin as well. And then where I'm sitting, there's just a little bit of a intersection of trails. So just a bit of a choke point there. So just going to sit over that, watch that. Hopefully a deer walks through, or maybe even a big boar. Well, if I'm just to be completely honest, that was a complete flop. I have seen very, very little sign out this side of the block. In fact, the best sign I seen was right at the start of my walk close to my mate's property. I got to the tree that I wanted to hunt, got halfway up it and was like, nah, this is rubbish. Got down out of that tree, thought I'd try a couple of ground missions through a couple of other areas. Even with all the rain that we've had lately, it is still incredibly dry and crunchy underfoot. So, to make up for my failure, I am going to give you a success story from a little over a week ago. Myself and good brother Howard were out here on the public block, and we'd planned to do a day of scouting, going through some new areas that we'd never been before. And long story short, we run into a mob of pigs, and the owners of the property here ask that if we see pigs, we do our best to exterminate them because they are pretty brutal on their property. So we did just that and exterminated a big, fat, pregnant sow. Won't be much of a blood trail this one, Howard. Oh, clean through. I got blood on my hands, Howard.
Look at the blood there. Bucketing out.
You love this part of bow hunting, eh?
Blooding everywhere, man.
She's a bit of a wild blood trail, this one. She was point blank. There was no excuses for not putting the arrow in the right place on this one.
It smells like pork, mate.
Whoa, look at that, Howard.
It's just spraying, mate.
You're brutal, mate. Big fat sow.
She's a pregnant girl, going just about to a drop, I reckon, because the bulge.
Oh yeah, she looks totally pregnant, man.
Yeah, no.
I think I had that all wrong, eh?
I think so too.
The other pig that was there was mother to those other ones.
I think so, yes. This is the pregnant one.
Oh well, does that mean I got like 8 pigs with one arrow?
I think you have.
Man, the boys are going to be happy about that. Not even an hour after shooting that pig, myself and Howard run into a beautiful young fellow spiker.
Me, me, me.
Listen. He just went down. He just fell over dead, man. He done. Yeah. The boys have got some venison. Yeah, yeah. What a day. Check out what Howard just found.
10 points on one side.
Yoo-hoo! I can't find the arrow and we haven't found any blood, but I'm happy when you can find a deer instead rather than an arrow, heaps of blood and no deer. Yeehaw! It's a beautiful skin too, Howard. Milan wants a skin. I think that skin is his. I found it, Howard. I reckon that one's not high enough, is it? That one there looks real good. Hang him off of that one. What did he do?
Asked over turkey, mate.
We reckon this deer was so fast asleep that when we spooked him, he half knocked himself out, then fell over and got tangled up.
Fell over, man.
And then I was sneaking up to what I thought was going to be a deer with a broken leg, and then it just came bounding out of the thick stuff. Me and Howard are squawking like little kids, me, and it just stopped perfect.
Plonk. And there's the hole, mate.
Sorry, Cobber. Thank you very, very much, my man. Really appreciate it.
It's a stunner, eh?
It's a stunner, all right, mate.
Freaking crap.
He's absolutely beautiful.
He's pretty as, man. Spotty dog.
Spotty dog, first deer for 2023. I got the hugest smile on my face. And you're going to have a heavy pack, boy.
Yes, good. We're going to be chewing really, really well, mate.
Bring it on.
Whew, man. Certainly way prettier than those black dudes, eh? And wicked eating, mate.
Howard's just making a butcher rail.
Yeah, man.
Now, normally it takes me like literally 5 minutes to get a skin off a deer, but Milan's been at me for a skin for his new house, so it's all marked out beautiful. Howard's helped me keep it all off the ground. Now I just got to get it up in the tree and get the skin off without no holes in it, and then cure it for Milan, and it'll be awesome.
Check this out, man.
This is going to be a beautiful skin.
Pretty deer, eh? And orange summer coat. Stunning animal. Have some good meals chewing on this one. Nato putting his butcher skills to work here. Primo. Wicked nice animal, eh? Beautiful. Milan's going to be so thrilled to have that on his floor, man.
It's going to be a cool skin, all right, eh?
Oh, it's going to be stunning, man. Super pretty, eh? Super pretty. Always good when there's a younger butcher around. Yeah, saves me doing it.
Howard's a butcher too.
Oh, mate. It's stunning, eh, when you get someone else to help, eh? Well, to do it all.
I actually like doing it.
It's wicked, man. Look how clean that animal looks, man. Beautiful.
You ain't gonna believe this. Howard's just picked up the other antler.
Far out, man.
You got a pair.
Tinny bum, man.
Whoa.
They've broken that one off.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Mate, that's epic.
It is, eh?
Well done. Now we just got to find an arrow. All right, we're just going to let that cool down. That's my half there. Howard's half hanging in the tree over there. Howard also wants to pull all the meat out of the rib cage, but for now, we're going arrow hunting up there.
Yeah.
I've got the video off the phone, off my camera on my bow, so I know exactly where the deer was standing, and we'll just go from there. Where were we, you reckon?
Yeah.
I don't reckon it can get any better, Howard. The joys of having a camera on your bow. We were looking for the arrow in completely the wrong place. It's right there. Once I took a screenshot of where the deer was standing when I let the arrow fly. It was a 2-second job. It's got blood on it, mate. I reckon the deer's dead. As you said, man.
Waste not.
Waste not, want not, brother.
Yeah. There's a few more bangers here, man. We got half a buck in there, mate.
Half a buck. And a couple of antlers.
15 points. I miscalculated.
Some days, everything just seems to go your way, and that day was definitely one of those days. I'm not going to forget that one in a hurry. 2023 is off to a fantastic start. Now that you've seen some action, I'm headed back to camp. I may go and sit in that tree close to camp right on dark, but I'd imagine, knowing me, that I'll just be packing up, having an early night, and getting ready for another epic morning tree hunt tomorrow. Bring on another big boar or some more venison would be wicked. Morning coffee and breakfast has been had, and a tree hunt is about to commence. And this tree hunt is going to be, what do you call it? A little bit cheeky, I guess would be the word. Going to walk out onto the public land, but I'm going to walk right over the back to where the public land boundaries some private land. The private being old, scrubby. There's grass there. And fallow deer, as we know, love the grass. So the fallow deer, in my mind, are out there in the nighttime eating the grass, and then they come back onto the public, into the bush during the day. There is a tree that I reckon I can hunt out of. I haven't hunted out of it before, but there's a tree there that I reckon I can hunt out of that is 50 meters on the public side of that boundary. And all I need is for a deer to walk that transition sometime this morning, give me a shot, and we'll have venison in the freezer. Well, I believe my theory to have been good, and the spot's good. The tree's good. I got a number of good shots around the tree, but the wind isn't good. It's a minute this way, a minute that way. My confidence in a deer getting within bow range of this tree is extremely low, which pushes my boredom levels extremely high. So I'm about to get down out of this tree, venture back into the bush 400 or so meters to a spot that I hunted in the Raw. It's actually where I got the big buck in the Raw last year. And yeah, I tree hunted there. And after the Raw just gone last year, I put a trail camera in a tree there, and I got a bunch of animals hanging around that scrape that I believe that big boy, the buck that I shot, was visiting. But yeah, got a lot of daytime action back in there. And yes, it is a different time of year, but hey, I might get some daytime action today. So yeah, moving on. I've cracked it this time. It is absolutely perfect. The wind is coming straight down this little basin, straight up this gut behind me. There's fresh sign down here. There's a scrape down here there, a buck scrape, but there's sign on that scrape every time I'm here. I put a trail camera on the tree that I'm in just after the roar, and you wouldn't believe the amount of time that bucks spent on that scrape in September, October it was, and they were just play fighting with each other. Not only were they play fighting, but they were doing little grunts, and they were literally here for hours and hours and hours. I know it's a different time of the year. We're January now, and that was September, October, but this scrape is open year round. And like I say, every time I come here, there is sign here from within at least the last couple of days. And today it's dead fresh. So whatever animal went through here this morning, I'm hoping will come back this way this afternoon. I'm not going to hunt here until dark. I'm only going to be here till like 2, maybe 3 o'clock. But yeah, hopefully between now and then, a deer appears in this beautiful open basin. I can see down there to like 47 meters, which is going to make it a little bit hard to get the bow drawn, but if I can get the bow drawn, it could be on. I'm about to call it a day. I have some rabbit exterminating to do for the landowner where I'm camping. I just seen a beautiful yearling and I stuffed it up. I put myself in the right tree at the right place at the right time with the right wind, and then instead of being alert and keeping my head up and looking around and waiting for a deer to come, I was on my phone deleting photos and deleting footage, and I hear crunch crunch and look up, and there is a beautiful yearling standing right there broadside inside 25 meters. All I managed to get was a tiny little video of it down there in the thick stuff as it slowly made its way up the hill and out of my life. But what can I do? Nothing, right? Live and learn. This is a good spot, and I know that this spot is good in a southeast wind, and that trail just there, it isn't the first time I've seen deer use that trail, and this tree is 25 meters from that trail. So from today, I've learnt that I need to be in a tree just a little bit closer. 25. I range stuff now at 25 meters, and the deer has to be on this side of whatever I've ranged to be at a range that I would take a shot. So yeah, that's right on the edge of the range that I will shoot. So I learned something, and I will take that as a positive and move forward. I will see you tomorrow morning when I am in a tree. Back in the very same tree that I left at 2 o'clock yesterday. I've been thinking about this spot all night, and I've got a real good chance that something comes through here. There were fresh buck marks down here going both ways when I left yesterday. I did leave a bit of ground scent there, but it just depends on where they come from and when, and they'll be in real trouble. Just need a little bit of luck on this one, I reckon. Pretty confident that I just bagged myself a yearling. I just watched the footage back off the camera and off my GoPro that hangs over my head, and it's pretty average footage, but I think you get the idea. I reckon the same yearling that came through here yesterday came down in behind me. The wind is blowing straight back up here, and the yearling came in down the head of this basin here, and it got to right there before I even knew it was here. Turned around and it was just standing there. I'm on this side of the tree, needing to do a complete 180 to get a shot at it, and managed to do it. The arrow is still in the deer, so I've hit the offside shoulder. It was a real hard quartering away. When I drew the bow, the deer seen me draw the bow, spun her head around. She was pretty nearly arse on. So I had to stick the arrow right in, just in front of her back leg, and I've hit the offside shoulder, so I didn't hear the deer go down. So I'm just going to sit quietly for a while and then go pick up my venison. I was in the tree right there in this little gap here, shot an arrow through that little gap, and the deer was standing right here. So yeah, I don't think it's gone very far at all. I wasn't even expecting a blood trail because of where the arrow went in way back, but maybe it did exit a little bit. She never made it anywhere near as far as I thought she did. She was pretty much an eye shot of my tree. My tree's only just there. So yeah, shot went in all the way back, but it actually did come out the front just there. You can see the point of the arrow there, so near on perfect. That line is straight through the engine room. And as much as I'd like to shoot a big velvet buck, that one's so much lighter, it'll fit perfectly in my pack. So now I just got to go find a tree. Oh man, it's so good when a plan comes together. I love tree hunting. Tree hunting is when you get a deer, you got everything right. You know, you're in the right spot, the right tree, the right wind. There's just so much effort that goes into tree hunting, having to carry all the gear, climbing the trees, all the scouting that goes with it. So yeah, each and every time I get a deer out of a tree, it has a little bit more kudos with it, would be the terminology I'm going to use. It's just real good fun. Just going to let the meat cool down for half an hour, have something to eat, and then it's home time. Venison in my pack. I'm going to have to strap all my clothes to the outside of my pack, but other than that, it's going to be a walk in the park. Yearlings are awesome. Look at the difference in size here. Whoa. Not long after I got back to camp and got that yearling into the chili bin, I watched big black clouds roll into camp. And when I say big black clouds, I mean threatening to rain big black clouds. And not long after that, it started raining. So I have spent the vast majority of today stuck in camp while it's raining. But I did have a heap of editing work to do for the lateral line. So maybe that rain wasn't such a bad thing after all. But this is a hunting show and not a fishing show. So once again, I am going to insert some footage into this one right here and right now from a past successful hunting mission and spice it up a little bit. I got a phone call from a very good friend of mine, Mr. Simon Bullivant, and he was like, "Hey brother, do you want to put your butcher skills to good use and do some charity work by way of processing a heap of deer?" To which I agreed to, and after that myself and Simon got out for a hunt. Myself and Simon were doing this charity work on Mangatea Station. Now, Mangatea Station is a ridiculously massive piece of private land, and it is set up as a hunting block. So you pay to go hunting on this block, and on this block there is ridiculously big red stags and ridiculously big, beautiful fallow bucks. And if I'm to be totally honest, one of the main reasons, other than hanging out with my mate, that I agreed to go and do this butchery work is because Simon said if we got all of the work done, then after that we could go for a walk around the station and hope to see some of these big, beautiful stags and bucks. But also, while we were walking around the property in the hopes of seeing those animals, if we run into pigs, pigs are just as unwelcome there as they are here, and we could go after them with our bow and arrow. It didn't take very long and we'd spotted pigs, and not long after that we were in bow range of a very reasonable boar. Simon was behind the camera, I was behind my bow, and I could sit here right now and make all the excuses under the sun, but at the end of the day I made a bad shot and hit that pig low. And from there, myself and Simon split up to give us the best chance of getting another arrow into that pig and getting the job done. Don't get me wrong, I am super grateful that Simon was there and that he was able to stick a second arrow in that pig and get the job done. But I know that I am never, ever gonna hear the end of that one. I can just hear Simon now. Oh, Nato? Oh yeah, I know Nato. I finish off all of his pigs for him. Oh man. I think I need to take you hunting with me more often, man.
That's just what I do, mate.
Nato tagged him. Simon took him out.
Tag and bag.
I took that big fat boar in to see my mate Graham the Butcher, and my mate Graham the Butcher turned that pig into wild pork bacon, which we have been enjoying ever since. All that is left to do now is watch the sun go down, and another hunting mission is on for tomorrow. Better get a shot just in case, eh, Howard? One of us might shoot a deer, and then I wouldn't have filmed anything. It might happen, mate. Goblin Ridge. It was another ridiculously early start to the day today, and then myself and Howard made the walk out the back, and then we ended up splitting up. Howard went his way and I went mine. Cutting my story very, very short, I seen nothing. The wind was horrible, so I ended up back at camp by like 9 o'clock. And not long after that, I got a text from Howard saying, "Big boar down!" And after what Howard has told me, I am convinced it is the boar that I nearly shot out of the tree on Monday. Today is Friday. So I want to go check him out. So very, very soon after I've got camp packed up, I'm going to go meet up with Howard. We're going to go for a walk out into the bush and see Howard's big boar. He reckons he was walking down a trail and this thing was going to run into him, and he had to put a bullet in him before it literally ran into him. Apparently it was a 2-meter shot. So yeah, I want to go see him. I'm pretty sure it's the same pig. I seen that boar out of the tree. I got a big boar, which I reckon is the same boar because of his white feet, on a trail camera. And now Howard's shot a big boar with white feet. And all of these 3 sightings have been within sort of not even a kilometer of each other. So yeah, I'm convinced it's the same pig. I just want to have a look, get a photo for Howard and give him a hand to carry some pork out.
Got the bung eye, mate.
Do you put one in his skull, Howard?
Upset him.
Oh, Jesus, Howard. Holy shitballs, man.
Look at the wheels on it, mate.
Wow. That would have easily been the biggest pig I would have ever shot if I'd got him, mate. Jesus, he's fat.
See his bloody hoof? Got the
Oh, yeah.
I think I was just going here and I went, oh, it's a blingin' pig.
You were standing there,
Yeah, man.
and he was here. Coming down the trail straight at Howard.
Yep, just from right.
Shit, I wish I'd shot that, Howard.
Do you know what?
He's a stinker, isn't he?
I wish you had too.
Howard, he's got a lump on his back, eh?
He has a little bit, eh? He's super old and he's going backwards.
Yeah, well,
But he hasn't got honky feet though.
I'm just looking at that lump there, man. Oh, you need to have a look about here, Howard. I reckon my arrow punched him about mid-body, right on the shoulder line. Like there. But on the other side.
Yes. Tough brute, eh? If he walked away from that. He must be fighting, mate. But all the way to his
He's
flank,
doing battle,
mate.
alright. There's just scars all over him, eh?
Man.
Broken tusk and all.
Yeah.
The more we're standing here looking at him, the more I'm like, that's the pig that we call White Sox that I stuck an arrow into, like, when was it? When's your birthday? June,
yeah.
what's your birthday?
27.
27. So the 26th of June, 21,
Yeah.
I reckon I stuck an arrow in this pig. Thought I'd killed him, but I'm guessing I went over his backbone or just under his backbone. But anyway, I don't get to see it because Rule, a good friend of Howard's, is coming in and Howard's going to butcher the pig then for him to carry home to eat. So I don't get to see it getting butchered up. But when Howard does butcher it up, he's going to send me a bunch of photos of the finger bones and the rib cage and everything. And there might even be an arrow in there, but I reckon the arrow went right through. But yeah, just in case it is White Sox, I'm telling you that because you'll be looking at the photos that Howard sends me right now that will confirm 100% that it's the same pig and the saga is over.
Finally.
Howard never had a camera with him that day and didn't take any photos, but Howard said he could feel some calcified bone right on the top of his rib cage, and I jumped to every conclusion under the sun and thought, yep, that's it, that's White Sox. My arrow's gone just underneath his backbone. I was so convinced that I even put a post on my Instagram page saying White Sox is dead, but I went back a week later after Howard had put the bullet in that pig, and it was a festering mess, but I had a quick kick around in the bones, and looking at the bones, I don't think that that is White Sox. So he may yet live. And this one could get even more interesting. So, church, my brothers and sisters, thank you all so very, very much for watching my hunting missions. It's really much appreciated. And while I'm saying church, I want to say church to Mr. Simon Bullivant, because just 2 days ago, I went and picked up the monster, the buck that I shot on public land. So, Simon, you're a legend, mate. You do beautiful work. Thank you very, very much. And I'll see you all again very, very soon.